Well, excellent. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our Feel Good Guide to Menopause or Through Menopause. Leann and I are really excited to bring this information to you today. And we love that we're going to be able to discuss how the body adjusts prior to going through menopause and as early as your 30s, and through menopause and post-menopause and beyond. And we're going to touch on so many things that women don't actually know that is kept from us. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Elizabeth Carroso. I have been a health and wellness coach with the Health Emporium for 6.5 years. My background is in health science and aesthetics, and I majored in skin nutrition. So I have been very committed to helping people throughout my career. And one of the things I love is particularly helping us women. Menopause, of course, is now something that's very close to my heart because I'm going through it. I'm a mama of two, for those of you who don't know me. I'm an empty nester. They're both gone because they're adults. And I'm going through this transitioning stage, and I thought we need to talk about menopause and make it something not to be afraid of. So that's me.
And my name's Leann Dalzell. I am also an empty nester with adult kids. And for me, I'm a high school music teacher. I have taught for 25 years, and I see so many kids come through my doors that have health issues that could be preventable through, diet, exercise, nutrition, all of those sort of things. Having lots of conversations with families, and I've been working a lot with mums and families' health. But recently, as we get older, you tend to have more and more friends that are starting to go through menopausal symptoms. And so for me personally, I have been now working with more and more people with menopause. And so we thought we'd do this beautiful webinar to actually debunk a few myths and really to actually talk about it, because so much of menopause, there's a stigma involved and people don't talk about it. And there's so many things we don't know about it because we're just not talking.
Correct.
So let's get into it. Let's talk.
Let's do it. So we have a little slide presentation, guys. So bear with us, because being the older generation, we're not great with technology. So
we'll do the best we can.
We're hoping that we're going to be able to share our slides without any trouble, but bear with us for one moment while we prepare that.
Oh, look at us go. Look
there
at
we
this.
go. Who can see our slides? Give us a little hands up. Yay.
Go the old girls, eh?
Okay, guys. So we're going to be talking about the Feel Good Guide to Menopause. And it's mainly for women that's transitioning from midlife and beyond. But we're going to really touch on the subjects of how our body begins to get ready for this transition in life early on in our 30s, and we don't even know about it. So it's your time to thrive, and we're going to give you lots of tips and information for you to understand that this is just something that is important for us to know so that we can get through the ailments easier. Some of the things that we're going to outline through our chat today is what's really going on, and we're going to learn more about what's going on at midlife with our hormones and our body. Those of you who have joined us in the live webinar are going to receive a beautiful 51-page workbook that's got so much information, and as well as that, it's got a symptom tracker for you to explore the different symptoms that you may be experiencing. And the system tracker also accesses what's really, it's going to help you assess what's really going on. We're going to be talking about managing your symptoms and exploring all the different ways that you can better manage this transition through life. What's next? Let's talk about the map of what's next and the plans, and using all the different things that we have through our beautiful online Health Emporium program, which shows you a lot of different recipes. We've got beautiful movement guides. We have a stress management tools that we provide in there. So there's going to be a lot of that you can get your hands on at the end, as well as additional resources that we have at the very end of the booklet that we'll be sharing with you today. Now, Module 1 that we're going to talk about is what's really going on and what's really happening to our bodies at midlife, what's happening at perimenopause, what is menopause, and what's happening at postmenopause. Now, we get to this part of our life. We often relate menopause with being older. So we get to this part of our lives where we hit midlife and we're wondering what the hell's going on. Like, you know, I'm starting to get like, I can't remember things. All of a sudden I'm putting on weight. My skin is changing. I have low energy. My aches, I've got aches and pains in places I didn't even know I had to have aches and pains. We've got all these weird and wonderful symptoms that we just can't put our finger on why they're happening. We've got this crazy overheating for some of us that we call the sweats. Some of us get to a place where we get anxiety and a little bit of depression and we're feeling alone or misunderstood and unsupported because our families, we don't know what's going on with us, and our families don't know what's going on. So that can lead to us feeling a little bit confused and unloved. And sometimes as women, we tend to overstretch ourselves. So we're always saying yes to please everybody else. And this is a time where we need to think about ourselves and love ourselves a little bit more. And it's okay to say no to people. Now, we're going to be discussing the 5 main causes of aging. Now, this is one of the reasons I got into advanced health science and aesthetics. It's always been my passion to understand how the body works and what's happening inside in order for us to be able to modify some of the things we do in our daily lives to be able to get through the aging process. The aging process is also correlated to the hormonal issues, which is what we go through in menopause. So we're going to be talking about excess free radicals. They're those nasty little unusable molecules that break down healthy cells in our bodies. And they create like oxidative stress. So if you think about a metal that's been sitting out in the rain, it starts to rust and starts to age and look really bad. That's exactly what happens to us in our body. And this is what can cause premature aging in our body. The other thing that we're going to talk about is glycation. Now, glycation comes from consuming too many sugary foods, or high glycemic foods, like high content of fruits, right, which have a lot of sugar. Now, the sugars react with our proteins and fats, and in a very abnormal way. So they start to produce these harmful molecules called advanced glycation, which ends. The product that happens is it just brings on the signs of aging by breaking down the cells that recreate themselves through our DNA every day. Another thing that is a main cause of aging is abnormal methylation. Now, this is caused by abnormal cell division. Every night, our cells replicate themselves, literally thousands of cells, trillions of cells replicate themselves every single day to keep our bodies healthy. So with abnormal methylation, it's going to cause abnormal cell division, and then that's going to accelerate the aging process. Now, methylation is one of the most crucial biochemical processes in our bodies. It's a metabolic function in the human body, which goes hand in hand with trillions and trillions of cells, like I said earlier. And every cell has a job to do. And if we have abnormal methylation, they start to break down, and then the aging process starts to begin. And our hormones can actually be, lack of hormones can actually start earlier than they should. Another thing that also shows the signs of aging is chronic inflammation. So prolonged and excessive inflammation has no purpose in our bodies. I know that for many of us, we get to a certain age and we just say, oh, you know, it's my age. It's okay. I've got to solve this because of that. And this is just normal. It really isn't. You do not have to live life with pains, aches, and any type of inflammation, not just, you know, aches and pains, inflammation in the gut, inflammation in the skin. It can hit us in so many different ways. So you really do not have to live with this. There are things that you can do to mitigate this issue. And of course, the last one, which is a big one, is the cellular degeneration. Again, it all goes with what I've already spoken about. And this is when the cells age and the cell function, particularly in the mitochondria, which is kind of like the energy boost inside our cells. These are like tiny little energy systems that create that help create the cells. So if they become weaker, it decreases the way that it replicates, and it affects the way the DNA replicates that every day. And the energy output from the DNA doesn't work as good. Therefore, our cells begin to weaken and we start to show the signs of aging. And this is what we want to talk to you about to make sure that you know what you can put in place so that that doesn't happen.
So we now know the 5 signs of aging, but we also need to now look at, right, well, what can we do? We actually can have a bit of a plan to actually help our goal of optimal health. So things like nutrition, looking at movement, looking at stress, and looking at mindset are the 4 pillars that we're really going to be focusing on tonight with our webinar on how to help you with anti-aging, as well as, what can you do to help your symptoms through menopause. So making shifts and changes in these areas are going to have a huge impact on how you transition through this phase of life. And we really encourage you to see this phase as a golden opportunity. Okay, there's no greater time in your life to really focus on you and to start making some changes so that you're feeling amazing. You're going to have lots of energy, you're going to have longevity, and at the end of it, you're just going to feel good about yourself. What we don't want, though, is to make you feel overwhelmed. Okay, sometimes people do start to feel overwhelmed when it comes to menopause. There's so many symptoms. And finding time, having energy, having a funky headspace, that's all part of it. And we'd love to be able to show you ways to be able to support your health. So take a deep breath. We are here with you together. So let's look at some of the biggest challenges. So menopause is broken down into 3 distinct phases. We have perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. Now, perimenopause, I actually didn't know that this was a stage until I was there. So this is the stage or the years that are before menopause. So many symptoms arise during this phase, and this is where your hormone cycle starts shifting and paving the way for this natural transition. It's really the most symptomatic phase. This is why we wanted to do the webinar, because this can start as early as your mid-30s. Mm-hmm. And it can most likely is going to be in your mid to late 40s. And ladies, it's not a 6-month thing. This can last from 5 to 10 years. So it's something that you need to be aware of so you know how to deal with it. Menopause, what is that? Meno means the end of a monthly cycle. Menopause is officially just a 12-hour period, one day. And that's one day when a woman has had no periods for 12 consecutive months. And then she's considered to be in menopause. Now, the average age is 51, but that doesn't mean that most will happen then. People are menopausal in their 30s, people are menopausal in their late 50s. It doesn't matter. We're all women. We change. We're different. Average age is 51 though. So after menopause, we're in postmenopause. So these are the years beyond that day, and they're where you've officially reached menopause. And for a lot of women, they're going to start to see a decrease in the symptoms, but you might still experience them for a little bit longer. Now, there are other people like Liz and I who experience more problems after menopause. So it's not always going to be a given that once you've hit menopause, your symptoms are going to stop. 97% of women who have reached postmenopause, though, by the age of 58. Now, there are some ladies that will actually have early onset menopause or surgically induced. This is not a topic that we're really going to deal with through this menopause webinar, but we leave that in the hands of the doctors.
So we're going to talk about the hormones that cause all the problems that we're going to be facing or that we're going to be talking about today. So let's say hello to the hormones and let's meet the guys who are responsible for the signs of aging and for us going through what most of us go through. So the first hormone that plays a big role in this transition is estrogen. Now, estrogen is what you make on the way to ovulation. So it's responsible for the functions in the body, as there is estrogen receptors right through our bodies. It's not just, people think that these things happen just in the ovaries. They don't. So during perimenopause, as Leann mentioned, your estrogen begins to fluctuate and then it starts to decline. And this fluctuation is what causes the symptoms. And so the role that estrogen plays in our body, it's that it promotes the growth and the health of the female productive organs. It also helps in building the muscle and the muscle and bone. And as we get older, this is something that's quite prevalent in older women. Osteoporosis sets in, breaking bones, muscle mass starts to disappear. So this is what's responsible for that. Maintaining also brain health, heart health, skin, hair, and breast. A lot of us women don't realize, but breasts are a big part of what happens to us through menopause, and estrogen takes a big role in healthy breasts. And by that, I'm talking about cysts and, some type of breast cancers as well. It also keeps the vagina moist, elastic, and it's well supplied with blood. That also will help, give you the desire to have sex. So a lot of us start to lose our libido around this time. It also helps with the serotonin. So this is all of the things that estrogen play a big role in what it does and how it affects our bodies.
Now, progesterone, oh my gosh, I knew I'd do that. We actually make progesterone only after you ovulate. So it's really necessary to prepare your body for pregnancy. So progesterone, it promotes a calming effect. That's what I need at the moment. It reduces anxiety, mood swings, and irritability, and can also play a really big role in promoting sleep. So when you have low progesterone, often it results in the opposite of this. So you might have insomnia, increased anxiety, and a lower tolerance to stress. So what it does, it prepares your body for conception and pregnancy. It's so important. It's a critical part of your menstrual cycle as a woman. It plays a role, again, in sexual desire. So when it's not there, then your sexual desire is not as much. It does promote the growth of breast milk during pregnancy and breastfeeding. It's necessary for the success of implanting the fertilized egg in the uterus, and it offers benefits to the breast, the heart, bone, brain, and the nervous system. It's such an important role.
And the other one that plays a big role in the female anatomy as well, we often think of this one as just being a male hormone, but it's testosterone. So testosterone is not just a male hormone. We have it too. It's just we don't have it in such high amounts like men do. It's produced in the ovaries and in the adrenal glands, and it helps us, well, that's the real driver to our sex drive, right? This says it makes us a little horny. That's, you know, but it really is the driver to our sex drive. When we're lacking testosterone, that's the first thing that suffers. So if this is happening to you, this is probably something that you're having some trouble with. It also increases the energy and helps us stay strong and healthy. The testosterone helps build lean muscle. This is why men have more muscle and they seem bigger than us. It's because that's part of its job. Also, levels of estrogen and progesterone decline. So you reach a stage where you have more testosterone in the body during this transition, and that can play real havoc. So this is where you may see a shift in weight gain, and that, you know, the middle belly fat, we all kind of get
Meno
belly. Yeah, that's the one, Leann. So that starts to happen when testosterone is higher than the other two female hormones that need to be in there. The role of testosterone that it plays in our body works well with estrogen and progesterone to keep our bones strong. It keeps our desire and energy for sex high, and it promotes cognitive health.
So with all of those, once your hormones start to fluctuate, then that's when we start to see symptoms. So, you know, what it's all about, menopause, I'm going to say it's a natural process of life. It's not an illness, ladies. Every single woman on the planet is going to go through menopause in some way, shape or form. And so it will all be different for everybody. And it really is an unknown stage. You know, just like when you got your period for the first time, it was unknown. We didn't know what it was going to be like. So the important thing is that what we want for you to do is to not suffer in silence during this stage. You shouldn't suffer at all. So what we would love to do is to be able to give you some alternatives to what you're doing. So approximately 20% of women are actually going to experience extreme symptoms when it comes to menopause. 10%, the lucky few, are going to really cruise through no symptoms at all. And the majority of women, 70% of Western women, will experience mild to medium symptoms. So what are they? All right. So, oh my gosh, look at that list, hey?
It's scary.
The common symptoms are you'll first start with having some irregular periods. There might be some night sweats. There might be some hot flushes, low libido, like what Liz was talking about before, vaginal dryness, some anxiety, irritability, low mood, brain fog. Oh my gosh, it's feeling depressive just looking through it all. Aching, painful joints, insomnia, headaches, migraines, weight gain. Now, this doesn't happen for every woman, okay? But we want for you to know that some of these symptoms could be affecting the way that you're having your natural, happy, healthy life at the moment. Other symptoms can be things like, you know, brittle nails and thinning hair, panic attacks, heart palpitations. That's what I got. I had heart racings, muscle tension, poor concentration, even digestive issues and things like that. So with menopause, it's really important. We're talking about premenopause, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. During all of that stage, you really need to be looking after your health, and especially looking after your nutrition, because not even once you have left and you've finished all of your menopause and your postmenopausal, there are still symptoms that can really impact your health with the decline of estrogen and progesterone, such as your muscle mass, bone health, brain health, heart health, joint health, and insulin, which can form into diabetes.
So now let's have a chat about the women. There's 90% of women do not get the care they need. And now this really alarmed me when I was looking through the research. It's interesting that some of these surveys that they've done, according to some of these surveys, over 90% of women are going through menopause and they do not get the care they need, simply because their medical practitioners aren't trained up and aren't up to date on menopause, and they don't factor in diet and lifestyle, which is a huge, huge portion of how you transition through it. We're all going to go through it, but it really does depend on that. And I saw that firsthand when I was going through my issues, where my doctor didn't quite understand what I was going through. And he simply said after my bloods, "You're okay for your age." Now, what does that really mean? I'm okay for my age. I wasn't okay, so I dug deeper, and thank goodness that I did. And you can find practitioners that really do understand women's health. So that's what you need to look for. There's specific bloods that need to be done in order to measure exactly where your hormones, your vitamins, and your mineral levels are right through your blood. So lots that we're going to be touching base on. So what can we do about it? Well, holistically, these are the ways that we can manage it. We can nourish well. We're going to be talking about, again, nutrition and what we can support our bodies with. Sleep well, move well, and supplement well. A lot of people don't like to think about supplementing because they think they eat enough, but really there is a time in our lives where we need to really look at good supplementation as well. Now, some of the symptoms that are very, very easy for all of us are the night flashes or the hot sweats. This is something that most women can probably tell you that they go through. Now, there's a lot of things that can help holistically. Evening primrose oil, backwash, and red clover really helps. Magnesium is a really important supplement for you to start using as soon as you get, at any time really, because it's very important for women. But in your late 30s, start supplementing with magnesium. It does so many things for our nervous system, but also does help with the night sweats. Incorporating an anti-inflammatory rich fiber diet, including phytoestrogens, which I'm going to really go into detail about at the end, is very important. Introducing your supplements, reducing your spicy foods is going to help with night sweats, of course. And being mindful of your movement, because movement is important and we do need to exercise every day. But, you need to be thinking about, you're not going to be going and doing a big workout at the gym an hour or two just before going to bed, because that's going to really make your blood boil, basically, like literally, and you're not going to be able to sleep because of your night sweats. They're going to hit pretty bad. Other women use acupuncture. That's a really good form to help reduce. Wearing breathable clothes, keeping the control of your temperature in your room. All these are going to help you with your night sweats. And
so when it comes to menobelly, this is something that a lot of women, when we were talking with people, it was like, what is your biggest issue? And a lot of them was the weight gain that they had. So the most common reason for weight gain during perimenopause is the fluctuation of hormones in the body. So our primary goal is actually to stabilize these hormones. So there are two major factors with weight gain, and that's stress and estrogen levels. So in a state of high stress, cortisol, which is a stress hormone, that's going to be released into your body, and that triggers a rise in blood sugar, in blood pressure, and it lowers your immune function. So it shuts off basically any body function that isn't necessary to survive. And cortisol, that's your fight or flight hormone. So in order to fuel your body with that energy to escape this perceived danger, the body needs, and it begins to break down protein reserves into glucose, which is sugar. So the problem is, if we are constantly in a state of high stress and we're constantly flooding the body with cortisol, and not utilizing that glucose, then it's going to be stored as fat reserves around our midsection in case the body needs it. So the release of cortisol causes an even greater imbalance between the sex hormones by lowering the estrogen levels and increasing the testosterone levels, which in turn, your female symptoms, such as your night sweats and your sleep problems and your mood swings and your weight gain, all just gets worse. So people often think that going on a fad diet and limiting and eliminating foods, that's going to be the best way to lose weight.
The worst,
no,
right?
I know. So this often puts further stress on your body. It increases your cortisol levels and it continues to disrupt your already fluctuating levels of hormones. So you can see how managing stress is such an important part of our overall well-being strategy during perimenopause. So for estrogen, when the levels start to decline, your body struggles to produce more of it to try and keep those hormones in balance and at normal levels. And because your ovaries are naturally producing less estrogen, the body's going to start to search for other sources of estrogen. And since body fat can actually produce estrogen, your body is going to start to rely on it to produce the estrogen you need as a way to make up for what it can no longer produce by your ovaries. And this, therefore, makes your fat valuable. And your body is going to do anything it can to keep hold of it. So what can you do? The best diet is no diet at all. My number one tip is to avoid fat dieting and focus on eating food from the three major food groups: your carbohydrates, protein, and good fats. Now, you need to try and have a good balance of these in every single meal. And yes, you should have protein in every meal, but that doesn't mean you have to have a steak. So you can get protein from various ways from plants, and specifically our complete shakes, which has plant-based protein. You can have it for breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinner. They are so tasty and yummy. They are not a meal replacement, but they're a complement, which is what I love. We also have a how to plate up guide inside the HSC, which gives you more information on the recipes on eating all three food groups at every single meal. My second tip is to get a balanced lifestyle. So have more sleep, less stress, move your body and exercise. And in order for those to happen, we need to eat well. We need to take steps to manage emotions and stress. And it really is a holistic approach.
Yeah, they're really, really important facts that you've just covered there, because I think a lot of us just always run on empty when it comes to stress levels sometimes, don't we?
Yeah.
Another big one that I wanted to talk about is aching pain and painful joints. Now, this is another one that we relate to aging, right? And you'll see a lot of people will say, oh, you know, it's my age. It's normal to have these aches and pains. I really can't stress to you enough, ladies, that it is not normal for you to feel aches and pains. The symptoms of aches and pains and painful joints and even muscles are very common through perimenopause normally, as well as hot flushes. I suffered from very severe aching muscles, not joints, thankfully. So I do know what this is all about, and I'll be touching on what I did later and what you need to do to make sure that you can modify what's happening. Now, you know, a lot of people, or a lot of women don't actually realize that this is linked to actual menopause, and fearing that they are fast becoming crippled with arthritis, and all this pain is related to bad conditions and things like fibromyalgia or rheumatoid arthritis, all that kind of stuff. Women tend to just leave it alone because they think it's part of our aging, and it's really not. It can be managed. It's believed that these pain symptoms are attributed to the loss of the anti-inflammatory benefits that both estrogen and progesterone produce together. So once we start to diminish this, it's going to create these symptoms. Also, a lack of quality sleep can play a role, and it can also lower your tolerance and your threshold, which is where you're probably going to find your partners, your children, your husband's probably saying, oh, she's losing it, she's got such bad temper. This is what's happening. You know, you're getting aches and pains, and all this other stuff is happening. You're not sleeping well, and it's going to start to really play havoc with your life. So one of the things that I think is a really important supplement to add to help you with this is magnesium. The omegas are really good. The fatty acids really do help to lubricate and also just help you get through that inflammation stage, and good probiotic foods to be able to keep the gut healthy in order to assimilate and take in all the beautiful nutrients you're taking, believe it or not, actually helps with your aches and pains. So it's very interesting when you look at the body as a whole.
And turmeric's another thing that's
is exactly
really good for that sort of thing.
Yes.
So our emotional symptoms. So with a lot of women, like, we have fluctuating moods. And so when that happens through our meno journey, it's kind of well known and kind of feared, I think, for a lot of women. The good news is not all women experience this, but there are a lot of women that actually do. So it's just nice to know that that it might happen and how to deal with it. So the varying scales of moods and anxiety and even depression is something that may find very challenging. And when speaking to a lot of women during the development of this program, most didn't even know that this was a symptom of menopause, especially anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
So women often suffer in silence, and it's for too long. It's important to know that there are solutions. So your sex hormones, they're fluctuating. And when estrogen is really low, it can cause depression and low mood. And when it's extremely high, as in the cases of earlier stages of perimenopause, it raises your cortisol, which is your fight or flight hormone, and this can drive anxiety. So there are some really conventional treatments, but you're best to really speak with your medical practitioner first. But some non-pharmaceutical options include magnesium and taurine, juice plus omegas, and St. John's wort. And so when it comes to your omegas, they are actually something that puts like a myelin sheath over your nerve. Now, say this is like your nerve, and when you are feeling anxious or your thoughts process are going everywhere and you feel like you're losing it, it's like the end of your nerves are like this, and they're frayed, and all your information is going everywhere. And what happens is when you get an omega and you take your omega, puts a myelin sheath over that nice nerve, and it puts all of the information where it should go. So that's why you need omegas in your diet, and we can't naturally make omegas. So it's something that, I'll pop back over to there. So it's really important to take omegas, and our Juice Plus omegas are amazing. So try and eat an anti-inflammatory, fiber-rich diet. Include good fats into your diet, like I just said. Decrease some coffee, reduce or eliminate alcohol, and really hydrate well. Movement in stress management. This is really vital for your mental health, and moving your body in a way that's going to lift your mood, decrease anxiety, and stimulate your feel-good hormones such as serotonin and endorphins. Now, remember, your serotonin, like Liz was saying earlier, is mainly developed in your gut. So you need to look after your gut health. It's vital for having really good serotonin levels. And really focus on getting good sleep, take time out, and really practice self-care. And what we're also saying, like, menopause is a really important transition in women's lives. Use it as a reminder to take good care of yourself. And remember, like, self-care, it's about putting your own oxygen mask on first. You're no good to anyone else unless you look after yourself first. And again, inside the HSC, we have many different women's self-love challenges that are going to help increase your self-love and increase your mental health. Like, there's soul sessions, there's self-worth whispers, meditations, manifestations. There's a sleep initiative that was so beautiful, gratitude challenge. There's so much more in there as well.
What's the next slide?
And brain symptoms. To brain fog. Now, that's very similar. We'll scroll down there. So my brain symptoms is, I'm losing it already.
It's menopause.
Oh no, that's crazy. So brain symptoms, brain fog, forgetfulness, memory loss, poor concentration. That's all me right about the moment. So they're all quite common symptoms of perimenopause. You know, when you walk into the room sometimes and you just sort of forget why you were there, or you forget words mid-sentence, or you feel like you're losing your mind. Okay, it can be scary sometimes, but really just breathe a sigh of relief, as the good news is you are not losing your mind. Your brain is having a really hard time, yes, but it's temporary. what's happening is that estrogen is a really strong neuroprotective hormone. And what's happening is that the brain during menopause, and particularly the late stages of perimenopause, the brain is actually changing to adapt to this decline in estrogen. So it's also cleaning out this neuroconnectivity. It's rewiring pathways, and it's getting rid of the old ones it no longer needs. And it's adjusting to the new metabolic changes. So your brain goes back to normal. It's okay. But while we're going through it, it can be frustrating. So really support your body during this time with self-care and compassion. Also know that it is normal. Your brain's having a hard time, but it is temporary. So, you know, things like lavender oil is a really good thing just to relax and wind down as well. And just really just be kind.
And the next one we're going to quickly touch on is fatigue. It's something that a lot of women don't correlate with going through menopause. And again, these things can start as early as 30, like seriously young, and you just don't put it to a decline in any type of hormone that's happening. You just, maybe at 30, you've got young children you're running around behind, and you just put it down to the wrong symptoms. So it's really important to start testing for your hormone levels around your mid-30s, just so that you know where your levels are at, so that you can then judge as you keep going. And you want to be specific about asking your doctor for these specific hormones tests, because they don't normally do it in a normal full blood count. So this yo-yoing of your hormones is kind of like the rewiring of our brains, and these hot flushes and the sweats. It's an increased load of cortisol, as Leann's already gone over, and that creates the mood swings because it interrupts our sleep. But, you know, you can also have fatigue even if you are getting good sleep, because there's so many other things going on in the body. This is why this is labeled the change. There's so many fluctuating hormones that sometimes we're getting a good sleep, but there's something that's lacking, that's still giving us that feeling of fatigue. So there's a couple of different things that you can use as strategies to improve and cope with your tiredness. One of the very important things that you must test for is particularly once you hit your 40s, you want to be measuring your vitamin B levels, your iron, and your magnesium. And I would throw in there your zinc as well. It doesn't hurt to know exactly where all of your minerals are, because they play a big role in helping and supporting us through this change of hormonal imbalances. Also, you can consider valerian and melatonin. That's a natural thing that's sold at health food stores. We make melatonin in the brain naturally. So that's there to help our sleep, and it just lets the brain know it's time for you to relax and start winding down now. And again, you know, we're going to keep going over this. An anti-inflammatory rich diet, predominantly plant-based. It doesn't mean you have to be vegan or vegetarian. It just means you have to start to eat more plants, because they're the things that are going to help keep your gut health healthy, allowing you to absorb all the beautiful nutrients that you're taking through your diet and any of the nutritional support that you add to it. Again, you know, reducing alcohol, hydrating well, eating less, drinking less coffee, that's going to help. I haven't drunk coffee now for over 15 years. That was a major player in my, you know, distress, let's say, because I couldn't sleep. I had heart palpitation. I felt like I was having anxiety attacks. It was actually the caffeine causing all of these things, because my body was changing. So as your body changes, we need to change our diets and the way we do things.
Sleep and insomnia. Now, this is it's something that is really important, because without sleep, we start to, our mental health declines. It's all linked. Everything that we're doing, it's saying, is all linked. So sleep can be disrupted by our fluctuating hormones and our elevated cortisol and anxiety and hot flushes and night sweats. All of those, including restless leg syndrome and sleep apnea. Even snoring can come in when you first start with this perimenopause, and you go, I've never snored before, and all of a sudden you're snoring. So other things that can interfere with your sleep at this stage of life also is your current diet, especially sugar and caffeine intake, just like what Liz was saying then. Lack of movements, you know, if you've got a desk work job, or if you've got aching joints, if you've got lack of motivation or low moods, all of that can affect your sleep. So again, we're going to suggest magnesium. It's amazing. It's so good for so many things. Consider melatonin, again, like Liz was saying, and practice good sleep hygiene. So with that, we're looking at, having nice lightweight sort of coverings on you, and changing your pillowcase really frequently. That's something that you really should, especially if you've got a cold, to try and every day. But also, having lavender oil on your pillow, that's really nice as well. So make sure that you are moving daily. Now, you don't have to be going 10K run, but do try and get some sort of movement in, because that will help your sleep. Avoid screen time, with your devices at least 2 hours before going to bed. You really need to be putting your screens away. That includes your phone. And if you're saying, and I'd actually suggest you actually take your phone out of your room. And if you're someone that says, I need my phone for my alarm, I'm sorry, there's a $5 alarm clock at Kmart. Go and buy one. Put your phone out in another room. Okay, so this will help you. Have really good air ventilation in your room. And, we actually have an amazing sleep initiative. It's a 7-day sleep initiative inside the HSE. And that provides more advice, and it's got these beautiful meditations. So it's one of those beautiful things that, we're so lucky to have. So sleep is really important.
Well, it's just everything can help us, transitioning these symptoms that we sometimes feel and don't know quite what to do. And it's better than going for the pills, because a lot of women unfortunately start to drug up at this time, and you don't want to do that. Now, this one is a really close one to my heart, because I suffered from migraines and headaches severely going through menopause. Interestingly enough, I hadn't suffered from them for a very long time, but I did suffer from headaches and migraines going into puberty when I first started getting my period, which is very interesting. So going into hormones, and when the hormone started pumping through my body, this was an ailment I had through my periods when I was younger. They disappeared as I got older. And then coming out of my cycle and going through menopause, this was very prevalent again. Now, these headaches and migraines, for those who suffer from these, they can be so debilitating, and finding ways to get relief is so important, because really, quite simply, it really, really sucks. I think this is probably even worse than the night sweats, because there's just nothing you can do to stop that pounding in your head when you're suffering from that. And in fact, there's so many studies out there, and it's said that 28 million people on a particular survey that was done suffer from migraines, and 70% of those 28 million people are women. So many are going through perimenopause, and those who suffer with these symptoms seem to kind of drop their quality of life, and they just don't understand what could be causing these things. And it can work also against you when it comes to your home life, your work, your relationships. It can lead to depression. Obviously, when you've got a pounding headache, you don't sleep well either, so it starts to interrupt your sleep, and it really does play havoc on your life. And I can vouch for that. That is definitely one thing that I had to deal with. So there is a connection also to the decline of estrogen to this, but science is still trying to work this one out. Haven't really quite pinpoint what it is about the diminishing of your estrogen hormone that can cause headaches and all these kind of things. So if you are experiencing these type of ailments like headaches and migraines, I'm not going to say it again because we're going to keep talking about it. You've got it there. Anti-inflammatory, rich fiber diet is so important. But one of the things that really helped me was turmeric. I was taking turmeric all the time. Try a low histamine diet or gluten-free, because that can actually cause inflammation, and inflammation will actually expand the vessels at the back of your neck and cause those to constrict, and that's what's causing the heavy pain, because of the constriction to the blood vessels that go to the brain. The blood's not able to pump properly, so that's what's giving you that pounding sort of feeling. Again, magnesium is very important if you're suffering from headaches and migraine, and so is melatonin. These two things work very well together. Check your vitamin B6, because this is what measures our riboflavin levels, which affects a lot of different things in our body. But it really makes a big difference to how high your vitamin B6 are. So if you're vegan, you're more than likely lacking vitamin B6, so you really need to have a good supplement to add. If you're vegetarian, you may need to look at a good vitamin B6 as well, because that could be, you get a lot of these vitamin B vitamins from animal proteins and things like that. So again, including a really good supplementation and our beautiful, whole food nutraceuticals that we are partnered up with through Juice Plus, the concentrated version of fruits, vegetables and berries in those are amazing. It's a really good way to supplement that and bridge that gap between what we really should be giving our bodies and what we are kind of lacking, so to speak. Also, try and rest in a dark place if you can. It's very difficult when you have these pounding headaches, but if you can lay down, put your feet up higher than your chest, try and keep your eyes dark. I use eye shades, and sometimes I would put earplugs in just to minimize any noise. So,
did you use the eye shades, the ones that have the gels in them, so you can like heat up or cool down?
Yeah, so I would, for me, it was cooling. So everyone is different. So you can have a look for yourself what suits you best. But the cooling ones just really, really helped me with my headaches. But another thing you could use, which is just one I'm going to throw in there because of my skin background, is you could actually freeze some beautiful cucumber, cut some cucumber, freeze those, and if you're suffering from headaches, you're killing two birds with one stone. You're helping cool down the blood that's pumping through your head that's causing the pounding, but you're also helping eliminate the wrinkles around your eyes, because cucumber is very good for that. It's very well known.
Fabulous.
So there you go. Now, we're going almost at the end, guys. Let's take stock. So you can see a general pattern here, right? If you have a look right through, it really all comes down to eating well, moving well, modifying your lifestyle and your mind well, and adding that extra support by supplementing well, which is super, super, super important.
Now, we also said that we're going to dive a little bit more into exercise and movement, and as well as looking at nutrition as well. So when it comes to like movement, this is super important, and you don't have to be going to gyms and things like that, but strength training, this is really critical through peri and postmenopause. So it helps keep your bones strong and also helps reduce the chance of falling and injuring ourselves later on. So it's also amazing for revving up your metabolism and minimizing that menopause weight gain. Strength training also keeps your bones strong because, as we've discussed earlier, estrogen starts to fluctuate during perimenopause. So estrogen is needed to help lay down bone. So when there's a lack of it, though, there is a lack of our bone density, and that increases our risk of osteopenia and then osteoporosis. So strength training builds stronger muscles, but it also strengthens that connective tissue that supports your joint mobility. And this also acts as further reinforcement for your joints and further reduces the risk of injury. So weight training and strength training, that also improves our cardiovascular health in several ways. So it lowers your LDLs, which is your bad cholesterol. It increases your HDLs, which is your good cholesterol, and it also lowers your blood pressure. Now, if we add that with a bit of cardio, then the benefits are mint. So weight training can improve the way in which the body processes sugar, and that also helps reduce the risk of diabetes. So weight training and strength training, that doesn't have to be at a gym with weights and intimidating, bulked up, beefy men.
That's right.
Which could be pleasing to the eye sometimes. Anyway, but you can do it at home in the form of resistance. So it can be in the form of, just developing your core strength. So it could be things like, standing on one leg while cleaning your teeth. You're helping with your balance, you're helping with your core strength. While you're doing your dishes, just do it with one leg. Like, just do that. You can be walking, you can be doing Tai Chi, you can be utilizing elastic bands. I mean, you can pick them up from Kmart for $5, nice and cheap. Right through to doing free weights with running, with swimming, all of those things. Now, it all depends on you and what you enjoy doing. So if walking on the beach or surfing is something that you love, then do more of that. The trick is to do what you love to do, because you'll continue doing it. If you don't, you're just going to give up. So be really careful also, please. If you are doing high intensity programs and you're an older woman, just be careful, because with low bone mass, it has a bigger risk of fracture and injury. So just be aware of that. Finally, when exercising, you're going to see an improvement in your mental well-being. So exercise can improve your mental health And women who exercise regularly and strength train, they report feeling a whole heap more confident, they feel more capable, and they've got developed muscle tone and definition. Why wouldn't you? So this is really important when we're regularly fighting mental health issues such as low mood and depression and anxiety. And inside the HSC, we have so many movement programs that can accommodate for all types of exercise regimes, whether it's yoga or Pilates. We have an amazing stretch guide, which I love of a morning, right through to 6-week exercise plans and run guides. If you've never run before, we actually have a run coach, didn't we? That taught us how to run. It was so good. And then you'll notice inside the resources package at the back of our ebook, that you can just click on it and it's going to take you directly to the HSC for more movement guides if you're a client inside the HSC.
And now, guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about what we need to eat to help reduce all these symptoms. Now, I've been looking at the chat and I know that a lot of you are suffering inflammation. I can see that. So a low inflammation diet will really help with any type of aches and pains. And low inflammation diet really is more plants, eat more plants. That is basically what we need to do. And as we get older, we need to eat less of the things that we used to when we needed to have more energy, and the type of carbs that we used to eat. We need to really look at adding the power of plants to our diet. And the reason for that is because they're full of phytoestrogens, and they are a plant nutrient that kind of mimics the effect of estrogen, and it's used up in the body, and it's very useful in the early years of menopause, which is why we wanted to get as many people here before they start menopause, because you can start eating healthier or adding more plants to your diet in order to be able to allow your body to transition into the next stage without actually feeling a lot of these symptoms, simply by feeding your body what it needs. Now, it's never too late to start. And these phytoestrogens are a very valuable compound that we need to add to the diet. You'll find them in all plant foods, but you also find them in things like flaxseed seeds, fermented soil products, tamari, miso, tempeh, all those type of fermented foods, as well as bean pulses, including lentils and whole grains. Now, those are the things that I've just mentioned there actually are part of what's in our complete shake. The complete shake has all of those beautiful things that actually help with all of this. They've got full of phytoestrogens because it's got all these beautiful seeds and lentils and whole grains, and full of ancient grains. So superfoods as well. Now, our body needs to convert these to phytonutrients into estrogen-like compounds, right? And that's how it's going to utilize what you're eating, which is why as we start to have any type of decrease in any type of hormone, whether it be through going through contraception pill, coming off the contraception pill, or naturally going through menopause, this is a very important part of how you can manage your symptoms. So that's going to also help with creating really healthy gut bacteria. Now, we've touched on making sure you have a healthy gut. If you have a healthy gut and a healthy gut bacteria, it's really important to maintain that good gut health, because that is where all of our nutrients are absorbed through the gut and dispersed through our bodies and into our blood system. So everything happens in the gut. If we don't have good gut health, we come into a lot of these problems. And soy is also known as being a really great source of phytoestrogen. The focus on that is really staying to the fermented varieties because the fermented varieties of soy actually breaks down that natural soy natural compound, which makes it easier for our body to access and digest, and actually uses up the proper minerals. So don't be afraid of soy. There's a lot of stuff. There are good
soy out there.
Yeah, you just need to find the good quality fermented soys, like tofu. There's also fermented soy milk. If you're into soy milks, I drink that. So that's all really good. Now, after menopause, women actually have an increase of risk of cardiovascular disease, and that actually almost matches the same as men. And that's because of the loss of the protective estrogen that we have in our bodies. And like I've just said, we can mimic that with adding more plants into our diet. So increasing the foods also such as oily fish and salmon, mackerel, sardines, trout, these all contain these beautiful fats that help prevent clots, improve the blood triglyceride levels, and boost our circulation. This is where you can also get cramping in the legs. I saw someone mentioning that they get cramping in the legs. This is maybe something that you can look into increasing more fats. And don't forget our beautiful Juice Plus omegas. They're actually got omegas 3, 5, 6, 7, and 9. So 5 beautiful fatty acid chain acids that will help with the fatty the oils, the good oils that your body needs.
And there's not another product out there like it, is there?
Not that I know of.
No.
I mean, you can get all the different omegas separately, and most omegas in the shops are made from fish. So what I love about these ones is that this omega actually goes straight to the source. It's actually produced from the algae, which is what the fish eat anyway,
so
to produce the omega.
So
that's something that's really good for your body to take. Now, they say the recommended dosage for women going through this change is to have 2 to 4 portions of a good quality fatty fish per week. And gently cooking them, such as poaching and baking, to protect the beneficial oils. And where budget permits, I would probably recommend that you look for farmed fish. There are some good fishmongers that have
wild ones.
Sorry, not to have farmed fish, to stay away from farmed fish and buy the wild ones. Now, some good fishmongers, they do actually have wild fish. So just talk to your fishmonger and they'll be able to help you with that. Another thing that's really super important is to also feast on other heart-friendly foods like avocado, nuts, including almonds, seeds like chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, as well as your good oils like virgin olive oil. Virgin olive oil is really rich in protective compounds called polyphenols. Now, the polyphenols are a group of compounds that are found in plant food only, and they are very beneficial to our health. They're naturally found in all plant-based foods, and all fruits, vegetables, herbs, teas, red wine in little amounts, guys. Don't go crazy there now. And also dark chocolate. And by dark chocolate, I'm talking about the 75% and 80% chocolate, not your milk chocolates that have additives, sugars, and milks, and who knows what else in there. These are all really good. The other thing is berries. Now, those of you who know me and have seen any of my other webinars before know that I'm absolutely crazy about berries. Berries are such an important thing for us to add to our daily diet. And the reason for that is because berries have a really high concentrate content of antioxidant, which actually boosts your polyphenols, which is what we need. And this is because the polyphenols act as antioxidants in the body. Again, referring back to that old metal that I spoke to you before, our cells begin to oxidize. And when they do, they oxidize, and this is where the aging process begins. So by adding these polyphenols and high antioxidant levels into your body, you're actually protecting the body, and you're neutralizing those free radicals that are causing those damaged cells. And again, touching back into my aesthetic years, I love all of these things as well, because it actually slows down the physical signs of aging, not just what's happening through hormones and through our bodies internally, but our physical look actually starts to slow down by actually adding these naturally, these beautiful free radical nutrients, the things that take away the free radicals and stop damaging the cells, which means you won't only feel better, but you actually start to look better by slowing the hands of time back, and you start to look younger than your years.
Like this.
Thank you. The other thing I'd like to recommend is for you to support your body's natural detoxification. So your diet can be a really powerful tool in managing estrogen levels, particularly important these days because we're commonly exposed to synthetic estrogens through food and water and even the air we breathe today. So sulfur-rich garlic and onions support liver detoxification. So adding these to your diet can really help that part. Now, the compounds of the cruciferous vegetables include cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli. These help balance our estrogen levels. And the vitamin B6 and magnesium, like we've mentioned before, also help to maintain this healthy estrogen levels in our body, because it includes the foods that include these naturally are oats, nuts, seeds, whole grains, as well as green leafy vegetables in your diet. So adding these things really do make a big difference to the way you'll feel and the way, just the way you feel naturally, but particularly when you're going through this change. Another thing that's really interesting that not many people know is the Japanese diet. Now, Japanese women are often said to have experienced much fewer menopausal symptoms than most Western women, and their incidence of osteoporosis is also way less than what we have in Western world. And many believe that that is just down to the amount of soy that they have in their body. In the Western world, we're afraid of soy, like I said before, because of all these things that we've heard, but we know that it's prevalent in the Japanese diet. And they also consume lots of sea vegetables like seaweed, kelp, nori, wakame, all of these which supply valuable minerals that nourish to the glands and the thyroids, which support bone health, and are also a very valuable source of plant estrogen as well. So sprinkling, you can buy them at health food stores. They can come dry, and you can sprinkle those over your meals, over your salads, use them as a seasoning in your cooked dishes, and they really are a great additive to your day. They taste fantastic. I love dry seafood. I have that as a snack.
Yeah.
And finally, increase your calcium. If you do nothing else, the one thing you really want to look at is increasing your calcium-rich foods. Now, I know a lot of us relate calcium with dairy, but it doesn't necessarily have to be dairy. You will need to, this is, it's a very important part of your diet to help protect you against osteoporosis and heart disease. Also, by minimizing those mood swings, it actually plays a big role in that as well. So, like I said, you don't need to rely on dairy. Green leafy vegetables, including spinach, canned fish, edible bones, dried fruit like dates and nuts, are really packed with calcium. So have a look into those things as your snacks through the day. Even when you're feeling a little bit peckish for something sweet or something, you can add these dried fruits and nuts to your day, and that's actually going to make a huge difference. And if you really want to increase the valuable vitamins and minerals, I really can't stress enough, you really need to look at adding our Juice Plus whole food nutraceutical concentrates to your day every single day. That's a really cool way to actually add all these things that are very important to your body and taking away the pressure and the overwhelm of cooking and food and buying, which can become also very expensive. So you know that by adding these the beautiful whole food nutraceuticals, by adding these to your body, you're actually giving your body a great boost alongside the few simple changes that you're going to make daily to your diet and your nutrient intake via your daily food consumption. So please, please, please reach out to the person who invited you along for more information of those of you guys are new to this. I know a lot of you are already part of the Health Emporium, but because we've opened this beautiful webinar to everybody, because we felt it was so important for every woman to understand what goes on in our bodies, you may not know what we're talking about when we talk about our concentrated nutraceuticals. So please reach out to the person who has invited you along, and they can also share a little bit more about the Health Emporium and our resource hub, where a lot of the links will actually take you to as well. And you're going to get that at no cost, simply just by purchasing the whole food bundle that suits you. You get free access to that, which is amazing.
Surely is. So thank you so much we've just made it to 7 o'clock. So we've done full hour, and we thank you for being here. We hope that we haven't given too much information and sort of
we just got to share one thing.
This one here. There we go here. All right. We hope that you're not feeling overwhelmed, because we did give you a lot of information, and I'd probably suggest you just go back and rewatch it, especially some of the stuff that Liz says. It's just a power of information. But we do hope that you might feel a little relieved to know what could be going on in your body and that you're not alone. So we have you back here. There's so many resources, like Liz just said. So there's going to also be pages and additional parts of the booklet where you can plan, and there's templates for you to write down things. And again, reach out to the ambassador that encouraged you to come along to this webinar. So you can see we've got a nutrition guide, we've got the movement guide, stress and mind set guide, we've got some recommended reads from different people, we've got some recommended videos, and you can just click on each link and it'll take you to it, as well as some further resources to help get you through our menopausal journey. So thank you so much for jumping online with us tonight.
Yes, we really want to thank you guys for sitting through this. I hope we didn't give you too much information that's too overwhelming. We tried to compact as much important information.
Could go on for hours.
We could. So we really wanted to make it as informative as possible. There's probably going to be a part 2 to this because there's so many things that we couldn't fit into, you know, respecting everybody's time. So first of all, we want to thank you for being here. And also, I just want to congratulate you for diving deep into the aging and hormone transition that our beautiful bodies go through. You know, as women, we need to embrace what we are. You know, we're so powerful. We bring life into this world. Our bodies are such a powerful mechanism. So we really need to celebrate that. And one of the things that is important is you give yourself the permission to just make the changes that you need to be able to transition in this stage of your life without it being too stressful for you.
With grace.
With grace, exactly. So guys, I just want to thank you very much for for sitting with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, if you have any questions or if you need any more information, please get in contact with the ambassador or coach that invited you along. They'll be able to answer any of your questions. And if they're not sure, they'll be able to find some of the information in our resource center to send off to you. So thank you very much. And you will be receiving the beautiful 51-page workbook. So I hope that you're able to work through that. And I'd love to hear some information back once you've worked through those things and see where you are at this stage of transitioning. Thank you for joining us.